makes my life a little bit easier. All right. Welcome to week 6. Again, we are a week behind. My university is actually done for the calendar year now, so that will open me up quite nicely next week for a double on the Tuesday. More time that I can know what to do with. I'm just putting it into chat now. I will very much turn that off. I'll go through and you can have a look. Had at the actual screen. I didn't know if it was showing up prior. Evening, everyone. I'm just putting these into the chat. 1 second. And then I can get myself ready to go. Yeah, looked like Bluebeard's not on pole for once. I think he's been on pole 4 separate times so far in this season. Don't forget this is week 6. And for those who are keeping track, and especially at the end of Catalonia, well, Bluebeard could win the title in this race. Get up the actual standings real quick, just so I can have the right things up. Yeah, Bluebeard is up by 42, so he can in fact win this title this time round. The only way he can do that though is to outscore H-Boss. He has to outscore H-Boss to win the title. It is as simple as that in terms of the constructors. It's a long way away from that. 30, actually less than 30 points, 29 points. Separate them going into Spa. So we've got a long way to go before that one gets, that championship gets hashed out. Well, that's nice to know that everything's working. I unintentionally went on to do that, admittedly. But that's nice to know that all of my ignite's working. But yeah, we'll give it a couple minutes now before we get going for real. But I will do this one today, and then the likelihood is we do a double next Tuesday. I have a lot more time and don't have to spend 4 hours at university. But yeah, how is everyone doing today? Only going for 4 minutes. We get to about 5 or 6 and then we get going as we normally do. How is everyone doing today? Hello, people joining. Type people are just starting to get in at this point in time then, so that's good news. Welcome to the group. Yep, you can do that for Belgium, yeah. And then you'll be able to do everything next week, because I will still be the first person done with my comms 100%. 100% there. All right, so let's go through the grid while we have it then. I can imagine that nobody's doing this on mediums. So we've got Yuri on pole. That is certainly Yuri's first pole this season. I think H-Boss was the only other person, or is it Gus back, sorry, with the only other person with a pole position that is not named Bluebeard through the first 6 weeks. Bluebeard, however, I still don't think has been off the front row, which is, if that is a correct stat, that is an immaculate qualifying stat. That's a kind of stat that'll see you a promotion as well when we go into next season. Gus back on the second row in third, and you've got Obi-Wan in fourth, Major in fifth, Sapper in sixth, D-Dubs in seventh, Chuck Norris in eighth, Rich in ninth, Nath in 10th, everyone on the top 10 on the soft tyres. You got H-Boss in 11th. Don't forget what I said earlier on in this stream. If Bluebeard can outscore H-Boss today by any margin, well, actually by a long margin, sorry, we can have it by the end of Kyoto. But if he outscores him, actually, quite heavily, he could actually win it and pretty much wrap it up today. But let's see where we are in the standings at the end of Catalunya. Yeah, currently 42 points ahead. Chuck Norris is in third, 1 point further back from H-Boss. So the rest of the group still relatively close together. Bluebeard is in control. We've got Robbo in 12th, Danger Mouse in 13th. Needs to pick that up. Epsilon in 14th in the Silhouette. Ahmad's in 15th in the Porsche, and Absolute tailing the grid. So we've got 7 laps of Spa for this sprint race. Well, let's get going then, as we set up the sprint race with 5 red lights. It's lights out, away we go. Yuri off to a bad start. You cannot say the same for Gus Back, who is flying off the line. Round the outside into turn 1. The problem is he chose to go to the outside. If you're on the outside, you're stuck. Looks like we've had a couple of incidents already in the middle of the field, so we'll have a look with with Gus Back. He went, you can see, all the way on the outside of Yuri, tried to switch back. Bluebeard and Obi-Wan got there, and then it's Nath that the car that dropped back. So let's have a look. Is it Rich that hits him? H-Boss is there and thereabouts. He's decided to go the grass the way through. Yeah, Richard just completely missed the brakes. Completely missed the brakes. Not entirely sure what the plan was there, to be completely honest with you. For Rich, he just got that so many levels of wrongs. Just sorting out my desk real quick. And we'll go through. So that's Nath at the back, Rich at the back, who didn't go past and let Nath back on through. We've got a couple of drivers still there as well. Chuck Norris down to 11th after the contact in turn 1 in La Source. We now head down the straight with D-Dubs and Gus. Well, Gus Back has dropped all the way to 5th. After the incident in turn 1 where he went all the way to the outside of Yuri. Then kind of got run out of room by the rest of the group. He's down in the 5th. Bluebeard's in 4th. Obi-Wan's up in a 3rd. Major's up in a 2nd. Yuri should be out in front. Should have a decent size advantage. He does so at the moment. Bluebeard looking around the outside of Obi-Wan. It is not going to happen for him there. Obi-Wan's still looking for the bottom step of the podium here. H-Boss has got a penalty, but he's jumped from the 11th where he started to 7th already. And he's going to go the long way round on Sapper. And it looks easy when you do it like that. Robbo's got a penalty in the background as well. Chuck Norris on the inside into Puyon. It looks like he's going to have Robbo here. Robbo's doing a little bit of a switchback. This could be brilliant if he holds on to this, but the inside line for Chuck Norris really should give him some sort of a shot. A little bit deep again there by the Genesis, but it is going to give him position. There's the Silhouette off the track, and we will go back to figure out what happened to him. Looked like he just got a little bit too shallow there with Danger Mouse and then got a little bit too quick on the throttle and paid the price. And well, that's rather unfortunate for the Silhouette. He drops to the back. Penalty's about to kick in for those who have them. We've got Robbo 10th with a penalty. We've got H-Boss in 7th with a penalty. He's going to drop behind Sapper. Is he going to drop behind Chuck Norris as well? Chuck Norris is going to have a little bit of overspeed on him. Going to be very, very interesting. Round the outside goes Chuck Norris. And he got him. Absolutely got him. So H-Boss now has to work back the couple of positions he gained earlier on in the lap. Chuck Norris recovering just a little bit from the turn 1 incident. Top of the group still, as they were the last time we checked it. Absolutely, well, Robbo is now into 11th. Danger Mouse got past him under penalty. Absolute in 12th, Ahmad's in 13th. We've got a three-way fight for the back of the grid. Nathan's up ahead of Epsilon, who's just gone to the inside of Rich, and that was well done by the Silhouette. I don't think he's going to be able to hold it, though. Oh, is he? He actually has just pulled out in front of the McLaren. The McLaren not going to test it up into Eau Rouge and through Radion then. Continue on in this race. A little bit of a gap forming from the top, from the front of the grid now to 8th onwards. Top 7 in their own little world. Chuck Norris leads the rest of the pack. Here comes Bluebeard and D-Dubs. We're going to go back and have another look at this. Is there going to be anything in this? It looks like Bluebeard ahead. With Obi-Wan almost getting caught and does catch himself into the grass. Almost into the side of D-Dubs on return as well. Just about got away with that rejoin to track. Here comes Sapper all the way through Bluebeard as well. And I'm not sure if he was long enough on alongside for that move, but he's ahead of him nonetheless. Definitely contact on the way through. Bluebeard, nightmare couple of corners all the way down to 7th. Admittedly, out in the chicane was his own fault. Everything else, not really. Here comes Chuck Norris, who's gone off the track there as well. And Chuck Norris dropping behind H-Boss. I'm not entirely sure if there was anything left in on that. It's nonetheless, H-Boss gets a little bit of clean air. Oh, it's happened again! Bluebeard's lap goes from bad to worse. We see the multicoloured M6, and there's the exact same thing Epsilon did on the lap prior. The exact same thing, and Bluebeard drops all the way to 11th after a disastrous lap. Absolute looking for the outside line now. Gets tagged on the way through, still alive somehow. And has actually managed to get himself up into 11th for real now. Surprised, I expected that to end badly. Continue on, Bluebeard now under fire from Ahmad. We'll take a look at them in a second. The D-Dubs and Sapper, they look down into the bus stop chicane and realistically try and get themselves into that top 5. It doesn't look like Sapper has any response to D-Dubs' exit. I think D-Dubs is going to be able to hold on all the way down to La Source, gets the inside line, defends well. Sapper's going to have one hell of an exit, does have a good exit. I don't know if it's good enough to get a shot into a Rouge. He's pulled alongside. Are they really going to do this? Are they really going to go too wide? No, D-Dub backs out. From a survivability point of view, that's probably smart. I'm pretty sure the racers in the chat are not going to be agreeing with that, though. You definitely do it too wide. It would take some, well, unbridled trust with the Coyote racing again. That's a certain. Goes back past Obi-Wan as he looks to take his step back on the podium, and he will do, up into 3rd. Yuri still ahead of Major. Those two have a significant gap to 3rd and 4th. We're still fighting it out. Obi-Wan's trying to grasp something to the inside to try and fight that back. Against the Saudi Arabian, but it's not going to work on this lap. Sapper is ahead of D-Dubs, as we saw with the Eau Rouge, the move before Eau Rouge hit, and Sapper hasn't relinquished that down the straight. H-Boss is there ahead of Chuck Norris. H-Boss is 7th ahead of Chuck Norris in 8th right now. Danger Mouse in 9th, Robo in 10th, Absolute in 11th, Bluebeard is having a nightmare in 12th. Epsilon still leading the back 4. Absolute defending well enough on Bluebeard for now, bearing in mind the top 10 gets reverse grid. We'll see if that reverse grid for the feature will do anything at all in terms of shaking up the order. Obi-Wan still not really pushing Gus back after Gus took the third place on this lap. Sapper still has the advantage to D-Dubs. It's not the same for H-Boss though, because H-Boss is under fire now from the Genesis behind him. The Aston Martin versus the Genesis, now looking for the outside move into the bus stop chicane. And H-Boss does enough, more than enough now, to hold on to 7th place. Danger Mouse is right there, and we can see that Robbo is there as well. 10th through 7th, fighting it fairly close. It looks like H-Boss is also starting to close in on D-Dubs the longer this race goes, and we have almost hit the halfway point of the sprint. Looks like H-Boss has actually given himself a little bit of breathing room to Chuck Norris now up the hill. Ruby is just dropping further and further back as the race goes on, nowhere near absolute now, and it's about to be under fire from Epsilon. The championship leader is having an absolute mare in the sprint. Don't forget that anything below 10th, so 11th through 16th, does not score points in the sprint race. Epsilon to the inside and might have left something in on Bluebeard there, but he's got no control of his car, and in the rejoin hits Epsilon back, so I guess that's 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. Nate down the inside now as we head. He doesn't really get it at the bottom, well, heading down the hill, doesn't really get anything there, does the Merc. The Silhouette is really struggling, and Bluebeard just trying to find a way through, hasn't really been able to fashion an opening. We go through, and I think that might have been a problem for Epsilon there. Straight line speed would look to be non-existent. As Bluebeard goes by, Nath looks to go by as well on the outside line now. The inside line in the following chicane will help him out massively. Should be able to take the Silhouette, no questions asked. Or is he going to be able to complete the move? Going the long way round to do it. Will get it. So Nath is up in the 13th. The Silhouette down into 14th. And the Silhouette about to be under fire from the McLaren and the Porsche as well. Going forward, Jury has a comfortable gap to Major, has a substantial gap to Gus Back and Obi-Wan, who's still fighting. And Sapper now has a sizable advantage to D-Dubs, who is just ahead of H-Boss, who looks to take advantage of Bluebeard's terrible race to close the gap from 42. Would be, you're going to have to pull something off, that's for certain, to close that gap down, because Bluebeard has it under control this championship at the moment. Don't forget, this is week 6, so this was technically about 8 days ago, this race now. As comes, we usually do. The race they did on Monday will probably come next Tuesday and do a little bit of a double header to end off the season. But yeah, H-Boss still on the back of D-Dub, still a bit too far realistically to make anything stick down into the Lacombe chicane. Yeah, it doesn't go for anything either. Chuck Norris is still ahead of Danger Mouse, who's still ahead of Robbo. Nothing really changed there. Absolute has a substantial advantage to Bluebeard, who is now ahead of Rich, because Rich and Nath are going at each other side by side into the chicane. Rich on the inside, Epsilon looking for a hole. Epsilon's trying to pick him off. Epsilon's not able to, or is he? Now a little bit switch back to the inside down the hill. It's still there, still side by side. The Silhouette gets it done and pulls off, pulls out in front to make sure the door is slammed shut before Nave dies, and actually causes a bit of a collision there with the Silhouette. Hamas now goes to the inside and picks off the hole that was created by that collision, but he got wide. So is Nate. They're both off the track, and Epsilon will pick them both off. Epsilon up ahead of them both. I think that might have been Nate realizing to let him go, but I'm not entirely sure. Either way, Epsilon is up in a 14th. I don't really think he cares. Bluebeard back ahead of Absolute as he tries to desperately fashion something out of this race, because currently he's outside of the top 10, so no sprint points, no reverse grid pole. A lot of work to do in the feature as it stands. Got Robbo still ahead, and the rest of the pack are very much shortening up. D-Dub's ahead of H-Boss. D-Dubs is catching up to Sapper as well. He's catching up to Obi-Wan, and the entire top 10 are starting to close in on each other. Well, the entire top 10 minus Yuri, who has driven away. I would feel very, very... If I was Yuri and I didn't win this race, I'd feel very disheartened. This is as cruise control as a sprint race gets. To be honest with you, in 7 laps in organised tiers, you have blown the competition away in this one. Realistically, the only way he doesn't win this is by a mistake. Major's tyres are a lot worse as well. Gusbacks are better than Majors, so you'd expect that to start coming back to the Merc eventually. I wonder if that was a little bit of that tyre squealing. There's a bit of a... Oh! That's because there is a proper incident! Oh, and that... Well, that's a commentator's curse if I've ever seen one! Oh, Yuri! No! Round the exit. Oh, he tagged the bollard! He tagged the bollard and lost control of the car! And from the lead, the Alfa Romeo drops all the way out of the top 5, the top 6, the top 7, the top 8 in 10th. Yuri has dropped all the way to 10th on a catastrophic error. You didn't even have to try. It could have been the safest 2 laps in history of mankind. He would have won the race. Oh, he's still trying to get too much out of it. Hit the bollard on the inside and it sent his car flying. And sent his chance of winning flying with it. Major must be feeling like he's just had a gift. It has been handed to him on a silver platter. There is no way. There is no way, surely not. Another one drops the ball. Here comes Obi-Wan. Looking to get past Gusback. Has the inside line and also the real chance of storming to the lead if he can get towards Major as well. Because he's up in a second now. It's a free fall at the front. After Yuri relinquished his chance of winning this race. Obi-Wan now has a glorious opportunity. Sappers into the top 4. H-Boss is into the top 5. H-Boss is right there and able to actually take advantage heavily of that 42-point gap that he has to close down the Bluebeard. Don't forget, it's 15 for a win, 12 for second, 10 for third, 8 and then 6. So it'll be down to 36. Neither of them got fastest lap in this session. Neither of them got pole. Oh, H-Boss has got a chance now to eat into the gap if he can get at least one more position. Every position is 2 points from here on out. Obi-Wan has got Gus back in his back pocket. The real question is he going to get to Major, because I think Major has just let loose. He is gone. 3/10 purple in that first sector. That Genesis might just be checking out. This is going to be where it gets very interesting. It's timed a little bit worse than those on the GTR and the Merc. This second sector is a lot more turn-based than the speed, which is not suiting the Gen X anyway. So we will see whether or not there's more in this for the GTR. It doesn't look like there's going to be any help from Puyon for him, because there's nothing Major is doing wrong right now. Every single chance he gets is just a safe drive to the line. He's only got half a lap to go. Sapper is still ahead of H-Boss. H-Boss not really posing too much of a threat to Sapper. D-Dubs after that. Then it's Danger Mouse ahead of Chuck Norris. And then Robbo and Yuri with a penalty as well, just to make the day worse. Just to make the day worse. Then it's Bluebeard at 11th, Richard 12th, Absolute at 13th, Batman's in 14th, Nathan's right at the back, Epsilon's got a penalty, which will take him straight to the back of the grid. Obi-Wan is short in the gap. He is going to leave it late. There's going to be one last chance. There is a glorious opportunity into the bus stop chicane. Is he going to go inside? Is he going to go outside? He should try and lunge at the very least. He doesn't do either. And Major's going to survive. Major is going to survive right at the end. Obi-Wan should have been more aggressive. Major will win the sprint in Spa. Obi-Wan gets second, Gusback gets third, Sapper will get fourth, H-Boss 15, Dub 6, Danger Mouse in 7th, Chuck Norris in 8th. Yeah, the other summed about alright for Yuri in 10th as Robbo goes over in 9th, Bluebeard in 11th, Rich in 12th, Absolute in 13th, Barmat in 14th, they almost got him. Nave gets Axon in the end as the silhouette ends at the back. I personally do think that Obi-Wan should have been a bit more aggressive to try and win that race. He still takes second nonetheless. He'll put him into ninth, sorry. Then for the race itself, if I can figure out where Belgium is apparently, what letter of the alphabet it starts with. There it is. There's the feature. Appreciate everyone coming to join. Don't believe I've got anything downloading. Oh. Yeah, it would probably help if I did the system software update, wouldn't it? Wait, hold on. How the hell am I even online? It has just dawned on me that I have a system software update that I am meant to be doing. But at the same time, now I can question safely, how am I online? Yeah, I am going to make you wait, because I have the eval at 8 o'clock. Feel free to join that if you wish. But yeah, I'm hosting an eval session at 8 o'clock UK time, so I actually don't have the time this time to actually do the extra race. Legitimately don't have the time to do that extra race. It's currently 6:30, about an hour until that lobby goes live. But yeah, until that point, we got about 40 minutes worth of a race to go with. So, Yuri, a chance at redemption, I think, is the best way of putting this. Because there is, speaking from experience here, there is nothing we can call that sprint race other than a complete bottle job. Eval is at Lago. 21 people doing the eval tonight. But yeah, Yuri with a chance at redemption at the front of the grid here. Then we've got Robbo in second on the hard tyre, Yuri on the mediums for reference. In the Alfa Romeo, mediums for the Gen X in third. Then Danger Mouse on the mediums as well. D-Dubs on the hard in fifth. H-Boss in sixth. Sapper in seventh. All on the hard tyre. Then you've got Gus back in eighth on the mediums. Hards for Obi-Wan in ninth and for Major in 10th. And Bluebeard in 11th, who's got a lot of work to do to try and cut in to that to try and extend that 36-point gap. Rich on hards in 12th, Absolute in 13th on the hard tyres as well. Porsche in 14th for Ahmad's on the mediums. Hards for Nape in 15th, and then hards for Epsilon at the rear of the field, who is going to struggle in this one. But as we go, with 18 laps on the clock, Yuri has a sizable advantage on the rolling start, and he's going to tick it away because there's the klaxon. And we are off and running for 18 laps at Spa. And the Alfa Romeo has an instant opportunity at redemption. That's going to be the storyline the whole way through this race. And Danger Mouse almost lost the car at the source straight away. That was almost embarrassing to start with for the Nissan GTR. D-Dub, sizable advantage to H-Boss in 6th now. And Sapper in 7th, Gus back in 8th, nothing changing through the front 10, as we head into a rude jump into Radion. Bluebeard after that has a sizable advantage to Rich already. Absolute ahead of Ahmad and Epsilon, and then Nave at the back of the grid. So that's the only two positions that changed, apart from these two at the front. So we're going to go all the way back and see what happened down the down the back straight. Colonel straight. Here's Chuck Norris going to the inside right at the end. He is into the Lacombe chicane. And he got himself a nice little overtaking spot there, and Robbo didn't even fight him. Chuck Norris up into second. Danger Mouse is going to try and do the same. He cannot afford for Chuck Norris to start to drive away from him. The longer that, well, as soon as Chuck Norris does that, his, Danger Mouse's day becomes a lot harder. D-Dub's in the same position as well. But he's also on the hard tyres, so he can technically afford for that to happen. We come down the hill. I think Danger Mouse now has a real shot. Robbo's still ahead for the time being. And as soon as I say that, he's wide of pre-order. Danger Mouse goes on through. Taking full advantage of that. That's an error there by Robbo, who drops him in position. It might put him under fire from D-Dubs now as well. The longer this goes, where does it get to the M6? I wonder if there's going to be how many one-stop medium soft we get to see in this race. Out of curiosity. Here comes D-Dub, still trying to push the move on Robbo. H-Boss in the back of the screen. Here comes D-Dub properly now. Couldn't tell whether or not he just bumped him a little bit. I think he may have just got over the line as well. That might be a penalty for D-Dubs. I don't know if that was all 4 over. Game doesn't seem to think it was, so he's going to get away with that. Robbo is going to get away with a better exit, so D-Dubs again having to find that extra step just to get a move done here. Not really. Found it down the home straight. Heading into La Source. It's going to have to be one of these corners, the one of the good exits that he has had so far today. For D-Dubs is the only way he's going to get past Robbo. He needs to do it quickly, because the longer he goes, the more chance H-Boss catches up here. You can already see the Aston Martin is right on the back of the Lamborghini, and that's never a good sign. H-Boss is looking to charge down a championship lead. D-Dub knew he had to do it at some point. Down the inside he goes. Into the Lacombe chicane. He's still ahead. He brakes early. He stays ahead. So D-Dub's up in the 4th. Now H-Boss has got to get past Robbo to realistically stop D-Dubs from getting away. Don't forget the front 3 all on the medium tyre. The question is whether or not they can do medium soft, or we'll have to go on a hard later in the race. Chuck Norris getting a little bit wide there. Yuri still in the lead of this one. They have a very substantial gap over Danger Mouse, so those two are in control of this one, as long as they don't make a mistake, which we've already seen once from Yuri. Chuck Norris was obviously involved in the Turn 1 incident in the sprint as well. So they've both had their fair share of things that have happened to them so far. As Robbo is still ahead of H-Boss here, with Gus back right behind that, so Gus back up in the 7th, Sapper in 8th, Overone in 9th, Major in 10th, Bluebeard in 11th, Rich in 12th, Absolute ahead of Amads, as we see Absalon is tailed off the back already, with damage to the car. Amads to the inside on Absolute! This could be interesting. Absolute is wide! Absolute is far too deep. Amads is just not putting the foot down. I don't know why Amads was too cautious through that. Nathan's got, you can see what Nathan's doing. The game plan worked to perfection for the Mac. He's now going the long way round on Absolute. And I think he may have got tagged on the way out there. I'd be very surprised that's a penalty, even though there's 4 over the line. He definitely made, there was definitely contact on the way out. And Nate is going to be penalty 3, but Absolute will keep the position. Major is down into 12th. I wonder how that happened. Might have been wasn't a penalty. Bluebeard just went to his inside. Major just never got really any sort of exit whatsoever, and that allowed Rich all the way through. Major down into 12th. Which is now not a good sign for Major. Just don't forget, just won the sprint race, so he definitely has the pace around here. You have to find it again here in the middle of this feature race. Ahmed went a little bit wide there, and I'm not sure whether or not he's going to be able to make a move now. Richard's right on the back of Bluebeard. That's going to be very interesting as they exit Radion. This should be a McLaren overtake, to be completely honest with you. That slipstream should do well for that McLaren. He's going to go the long way round to do it. Pulls to the outside. They're going to go side by side into the Lacombe chicane. Bluebeard has got very deep. Richard's got himself far alongside and is actually ahead. That was a mistake from Bluebeard. Down into the Lacombe chicane, just overcooked it. And Rich will move himself up into the top 10, and Bluebeard's disastrous day is continuing to fall in that direction. And again, they've both gone wide. Damn, Bluebeard is half round! Major has survived. Major picking Bluebeard off, and Rich got a penalty for beating all four wheels over. So Major's going to get both of those positions. He just lost back straight away. Rather fortunate in the way he's got them. Bluebeard made a mistake. Rich followed. Well, Rich made a mistake. Bluebeard followed him. Didn't have the traction to keep it onwards. And now Major is going to reap the benefit. Absolute. That is not the track. That is a lot of gravel you're kicking up in the background. Wait until Richard's gone through the penalty line here, and then we'll go back to what the front, because Yuri had lost the lead on this lap. Looked like he lost it by quite some distance. Major is up ahead of Rich. There you go, he can go further forward. Robert all the way down in 8th now. And it's under fire from Obi-Wan, who looks to the inside. But again, a lack of aggression really seems to be a killing factor at times for Obi-Wan, especially in that final corner. I guess it's just a survivability instinct here from Obi-Wan, just to take it what he is given, rather than to try and force something himself. Gus back is up into 6th now. Safra in 7th. Paige Boss is in 5th. D-Dub's in 4th. Danger Mouse in 3rd. Yuri is right behind Chuck Norris, who had the lead of this race. The advantage goes to the Gen at this point in time. Yuri on the medium tyres, looking back to the inside, looking for the lead again. Will momentarily take the lead again as we head into the braking zone. It looks like he's got a better run. That's because he has shut the door on the Genesis. It is well done there by Yuri to retake the lead. The first bit of actual fighting he's had to do today. He's come out on top of it for now. He's too comfortably ahead of Danger Mouse in 3rd, who is still hanging in there, but he's rather driving on his own right now. You can see him in the shot there, and we're going to actually pretty much change the camera angle before the next person comes round round No Name. So it's going to be Danger Mouse is going to be in for a very lonely race at this rate. H-Boss right on the back of D-Dubs. Don't forget, Bluebeard's only in 11th, I'm pretty sure. Massive points gain here for H-Boss in this week. As it stands. A championship gap at the beginning of the week was 42. And it might get a little bit shorter now! Because D-Dubs is in the wall! Let's see what happened to D-Dubs here. Completely unforced error. Real question is what actually happened. Goes to the inside. Seems to be perfectly fine. Oh, just traction. Hits the AstroTurf. The traction never really came back. I wonder if how long he's going to wait. Almost comes back onto the track to hit Robbo. That's Bluebeard, the next one on. Bluebeard up in a 9th. And I'm pretty sure, I think that D-Dubs just dropped all the way to the back. Besides Epsilon, who is really not having a fun time. On the soft tyre right now, every bit of damage possible for D-Dubs on what was a good start for him. Well and truly faded off. With that spin, Yuri in the lead of the race, 20.9. Right now on the medium tyres, the fastest lap of the session so far. Chuck Norris is still trying to fight him too for now. We got D-Dubs, then we got Danger Mouse on its own ahead of H-Boss now. He's got a lot of clean air, but a lot of time to make up. Don't forget, Bluebeard mathematically can't win this race this time around, win the championship on this race, but he would be if it had gone perfect today, he would have been able to go with one point of doing it. Certainly hasn't gone perfect for him today. Didn't get any points for pole, any points on the sprint whatsoever, and is in for a really bad showing here as well. So it's going to be the case that H-Boss is going to be well and truly still alive when we head to Kyoto in next week's comms. Looks like Yuri's still quite ahead of Chuck Norris at the moment, but Chuck Norris is trying to fight him, but their tyres are just going to be all Yuri all night long. We've got H-Boss who's got a half-second penalty there to Gus back in 5th. So we'll see if Gus back is able to overtake. He should be able to overtake here. Should be able to pose a position for him. Put Gus back up into 4th, H-Boss into 5th, would only be 4 positions ahead of Bluebeard, which admittedly is 8 further points, would take the points tally down to 28 with 2 to go, in which he would then need to repeat this kind of week twice over, in Kyoto and then again the Nürburgring on the final race of the season. That would bring him in time with into tying with H-Boss. Unfortunately for him, it's only 1 point from 10th backwards. So he ain't going to gain that much extra from 9th to 11th because Bluebeard round the outside, but he's gone so deep. He just got it wrong, and Amat is now right on the back of him. Bluebeard's extremely deep into the final corner. Streamlag? Are we good? Did anyone else get that? Just real quick, anyone else get that Streamlag? Or just so that I know whether or not it's me or it's so. Because if it's me, then we can figure something out. Just trying to figure it out at the moment. It doesn't look like it's me. Maybe it was just momentarily, maybe? Either way, we'll continue on. Let me know if it happens again. Continue with Major still ahead of Rich, and then Bluebeard and then Amad's there as well. Nath ahead of Absolute. And then D-Dubs in 15th. Epsilon is only, well, halfway toward being lapped already. We're only on lap 5. H-Boss is still, well, actually rather heavily behind Gus back now. As they need to try and catch up to D-Dub, to Danger Mouse, sorry. Wrong coloured car, wrong manufacturer entirely. Chuck Norris is right on the back of Yuri. Don't forget, made it very clear that Yuri made an absolute bottle job error in that sprint race to give up what should have been a commanding win. Had a chance at redemption straight away. Chuck Norris is trying to give him as much of a run as he can. At the moment, the Alfa Romeo has better tyres and therefore better pace. The last lap was fairly equal. Just back 22.3, an entire second quicker than what Danger Mouse was, but an entire second slower than the couple at the front. So it's very interesting now then. Gus back really doesn't seem to have a lot of pace on those medium tyres. H-Boss is there with Sapper right behind him, so H-Boss really hasn't done a lot of damage at all on this lap either. As everyone in the background of that shot continue further back. Robbo still ahead of Major, still ahead of Rich, who's trying to keep himself ahead of Bluebeard right now. You saw Bluebeard move to the inside there for a split second, didn't really get anything out of it. I wonder whether or not he's going to attack Rich so Ahmad doesn't attack him. Ahmad looking. Don't forget, Ahmad's won the last feature race we did as well, so Ahmad's looking to go back to back in terms of feature races. He's going to have to do something a lot more special than that. He goes, well, very wide on the final couple of corners. That is a penalty against Bluebeard. Round the outside of Rich. Switchback attempt on. Down the main straight. Rich is going to try this. They're still side by side. It looked like Bluebeard might have to move down for a second. But now Bluebeard on the inside of the source will have to do something good to finally get it done. And he will. finally get it done. Bluebeard up ahead of Rich into 10th place. I think it's 6 points for 10th at the moment, which is what Bluebeard's trying to capture. Here comes Rich fighting in straight back. Is he going to be able to do anything, or is that slipstream from Major in front just going to be too much? It looks like the latter is going to be the case. That slipstream from Major just doing enough to hold Rich off. Now they head through the chicane. It's really just back and forth between these lot. Down the hill's not going to change much of anything there. Robbo has got right on the back of everyone once again. Fairly similar tyres, fairly similar fuel. Sapper is still behind H-Boss, who's still behind Gusback, and Gusback is still relatively increasing that advantage. Don't forget, Gusback is on the medium tyre, H-Boss is on the hards. I wonder, it's hards for Sapper as well. I wonder what that gap is going to look like later on into this race. I know for a fact, speaking from existence, that Merc, that Gusback has got a medium on a hard set of tyres to come on in this one. Unless he's got extreme tyre wear advantage that I'm not aware of. Danger Mouse's tyres are not looking too great, but still on par with the rest of the group out front. Chuck Norris has lost quite heavily off the back of Yuri now. 22.9 on that last lap. 1.6 seconds slower than Yuri, our race leader, who should, in theory, start driving away now. He dropped the slipstream, and that's advantage to the Dutch driver. I don't really know if there's much Chuck Norris can do to try and close this gap down either. This is going to be all that the will of Yuri for the next few laps at the very least. We'll see whether or not it is going to be a hard tyre that goes on his car, or if he goes long, goes to the medium, to the soft, sorry. You know, the Chuck Norris ain't going to be able to make that stick, that last, so I reckon he is definitely going to have to pit later onto the hards earlier than he would potentially want to. Danger still ahead of Gusback, who's still ahead of H-Boss, who's got Sapper all the way on his tail now. Sapper has really caught up and done a number on H-Boss's pace. 24.1 on the last lap compared to a 23.6, half a second in the favour of the American. Wonder if there's going to be anything in this for Sapper. Got Obi-Wan there in 7th, then Robbo in 8th. Robbo is still tacking onto the back of Obi-Wan, doing fairly well as well. That looked like a position change realistically. Then Major, oh, he's starting to struggle by the looks of things now. Just sliding out of out of these couple of corners. And that looks like a little bit wide. Oh, that'll do it. That is a massive slide. That'll put Bluebeard through. That's certainly one way to give up a position. Major is back to where he started. Rich still there as well. Nate trying to catch himself back up. Absolute is in 50. Epsilon is doing a attempt at a strategy, and we see a car in the wall. What's happened here? Round peon on the exit. Oh, it's too deep. Far too deep. Far too deep. You put the throttle on the AstroTurf. Goodbye. That is definitely not a good sign for Ramad, as he drops all the way out into 15th. He should be safe from Epsilon, but that's not much of a challenge. Rich, well, top 11 have now cleared the rest of the group. Bluebeard ahead of Major, is ahead of Rich. You got Robbo in front of that trio. Obi-Wan in front of it as well as 7th. We've got a pit on lap 8 off the medium tyres then. On the end of lap 7, rather. Or is it not just ticked over yet? I don't know if it's just not ticked over yet. I think that actually was the end of lap 8. Yeah, it was the end of lap 8 because everyone else is on lap 9. H-Boss off the hards. Wow, that's a difference. That's a very telling difference of the tyres, isn't it? H-Boss is off of the hards onto the medium tyres. You're going to do 10 laps on the mediums. And then you've got Danger Mouse is off the mediums after 8 laps and could only presumably go to a hard tyre. We are well and truly in a race the pit. I was about to say the game hadn't updated for a second, then I thought he was strolling back out on the medium tyres and I was about to question my life and my sanity. Danger Mouse is on the hard tyres, sorry, come off the medium tyres, so that's his mandatory stop done. H-Boss the same, just going on from hard to the mediums, comfortably off the back of Danger Mouse at the moment. Has a lot of chance to reel that back in though. Everyone gaining a couple of positions as a result of that. Chuck Norris has a half-second penalty, and ever since Yuri got away from him, broke that second gap, that it's just been a little bit lackluster in terms of trying to put a chase on Yuri. It's a comfortable advantage so far, but he's got a half-second as well. So penalty will negate each other. So it is as we were. Okay, so who's got the better acceleration, the Alpha or the Merc? Sorry, the Genesis. Don't know why I said Merc. No idea why I said Merc. Absolutely no idea why I said Merc there. Merc is currently in third. Those tires looking very worth a wear as he goes on to the end of lap 9. Then it's Obi-Wan in 5th at the moment. Don't forget a couple of people have pit, so we are about to see how all the strategies play out. I can imagine everyone's going to pit between now and the end of lap 10 or 11. If you're going from hards to mediums or mediums to hards. In comes Chuck Norris, in comes Gus back. Sapper and Yuri stay out one more. Can't say I blame Yuri, his tyres are very, very good position right now. Obi-Wan's got worse tyres than Sapper at the moment. It's very interested to see if Obi-Wan's got worse tyres than Yuri. Don't forget, Yuri's on a medium. Obi-Wan is on a hard. As Richard stayed out, Bluebeard, Major, Robbo, Nate all into the pits. A few of them getting rid of that hard tyre. We've just been told that Robbo bottled this before the pit, so let's have a look at what he did. Oh yeah, that's a straight line. That is a straight line there, Robbo. No, and he got reset just for good measure. Oh, that will do it. That'll take him a few places back as well. Bluebeard and Major both passing him, so he has definitely lost 2 on track. That is going to be an awful, awful place to make a mistake like that. D-Dubs is back into 5th for now then. Orbit still has a pit stop to do. Same for Rich, Obi-Wan. Actually, correction, all the way out through Absolute in the top 6. Danger Mouse the first of the group that have actually pit. I bet you were. It was a mess of a reset. Admittedly, it was a mess of a corner. You definitely just straight lined that the entire way. Chuck Norris there in the background, still is well behind Danger Mouse for now then. We know that Chuck Norris is on the hards as well. They're going to be a little bit better in terms of shape the entire way through this stint, but still Danger Mouse did a very good job of getting himself in and out early with the undercut. The problem he's got now is he's currently stuck behind Absolute, who is rough on his tyres at the moment as well. So Danger Mouse has got to get forward. Chuck Norris is right there, so Danger Mouse has got to take advantage of this, clear a little bit of space. Imagine Absolute might be in on the end of this lap. Imagine if you are on a hard tyre to start with, but you haven't pit, this has got to be the last chance of pitting. I don't really think you can get away with much less than the 8 on the soft. Go further back, H-Boss is out ahead of Gus back actually. Quite ahead of Gus back actually. Oh, that's interesting there for H-Boss. He's now got a chance. Yuri did 10 laps on the mediums, went into the pit stop now to... That is going to be a hard tyre that goes on the car, I assume. I think you may want to go a little bit more than 10 if you were going to a soft. What do I know, apparently? Let's see. Sapper and Obi-Wan stay out again. Not sure why. Sapper should be fine. He's in a McLaren. The car shouldn't be tearing its tyres apart here. It's an interesting choice. Unless he's going hard soft, in which I don't really understand why. Obi-Wan heavily behind him. 25.5 the last lap. Compared to Sapper's 23.6. Well, it's 23.5, sorry, but not 25. So about 10-second advantage to Obi-Wan in the last lap between these two. Yuri is out of the pits. He is out comfortably in the lead to the point where he is well ahead of Danger Mouse. I know we sat here and watched Yuri completely bottle the sprint race. But I really don't see him bottling this one. Surely not. His closest rival is on a hard tyre. Chuck Norris on a hard tyre. H-Boss is the only person here at the front on a medium tyre. It's not even like the tyre advantage is going to fall away from Yuri at this point, at some point in this race. He has got complete cruise control this. Major and Bluebeard again. Now, Robbo, that's not the track. Robbo at least is getting a penalty for that. Surely, yep, I was about to say, Robbo at the very least is getting a penalty for that. Bluebeard and Major, albeit not great in that corner, somehow managed to avoid any further punishment. Robbo now on the mediums and picked up his first penalty of the day of the race. Nath had a D-dubs and Absolute, and then Epsilon just pitted now. Obi-Wan, who is into the pit. Sapper has stayed out again. So it looks like Sapper has made it clear that he is going to try soft at the end of this. Oh, it didn't look good out of sauce. Just about kept it going. Yuri now headed down the home straight. Should be comfortably out ahead of Obi-Wan. He will put medium tyres on. And it's advantage Yuri there then. Rich is still not to pit either. With Danger Mouse right ahead of Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris, don't forget, was second not that long ago before all the pit stops started to kick in. Danger Mouse took his position since then. And now got to defend like a madman to hold on to that position he took. Looks like everything is just as it was. Rich is having a tyre fest over there as he slides again. He does a good job of keeping himself on track at the moment. Then Yuri, the one in between the RCR drivers and the McLaren. Don't forget, both RCR drivers yet to have made a pit stop. Imagine they're trying to go to the soft when they get the chance. It's the end of this lap for Sapper. At the very least, it'll be the end of this lap as well for Rich. It'll be a very interesting scenario now then. So they've done 12 laps on the hard tyre. I can assume if it's a medium tyre that would be going on their car, especially in the McLaren, it would be pointless. to have done the 12 laps on the hards in the first place. And Danger Mouse really being held up now, and so is Chuck Norris by extension, given the fact that Chuck Norris is now involved. We are heading toward the end of lap 12, 2/3 of the way through this race. I wonder if there's going to be any sort of action at the end of this lap, though. Danger Mouse and Chuck Norris playing with fire just a little bit in this in that corner. Oh, and in comes Rich, and in comes Sapper, as we predicted, both of them into the pits then. That allows for Danger Mouse and for Chuck Norris to go on through, and they are now free to run after Yuri. If Yuri wasn't a mile and a half ahead of them. Yuri is comfortably clear at the moment. There is no goddamn way this goes again. Surely not. It's an even bigger gap this time than what he had in the sprint race. All but the entire straight is his advantage. It surely can't do it again. Surely have got to learn the lesson from the first one. He has done a very good job of keeping his head down though, and rebounding mentally from that mistake in particular. You can see H-Boss in 4th for certain now then, comfortably ahead of Gus back and company. There's Gus back right at the back of Sapper and Obi-Wan. You know, Robbo on the back of that, Bluebeard in 10th. I can assume this is going to be a teammate move. This is probably got to be team orders, no? One of them is going for a championship. This surely has got to be team ordered. Get out of the way! Even if it is one position, that's a couple of points that Bluebeard could potentially need come the end of this, and Robbo had gone wide and Bluebeard had gone through. I don't think that was intentional, but it served the purpose. We go through. Nathan not that far off the back. It was intentional. Okay. It looked like a little bit deep, admittedly. Why you'd pick there to go that deep, to be honest with you. That's playing with a little bit of fire. But either way, Bluebeard is on through. Team orders are executed. Both drivers are not dead, so it could have gone worse. Could have gone substantially worse. The Bluebeard are now got to go after Major and Gus back, who are 7th and 8th, and Obi-Wan is actually clearing quite the gap to him now. Gus back is going to be in huge trouble here with everyone on medium tyres trying to chase him down. Major is just the latest one of them. I really think the Major is going to be able to get him really quickly here. The back straight, down the Camel straight into the Lacombe chicane is probably where I'd be targeting if I was Major. As we head up the hill, gonna get a bit of a run. Should have more straight line speed than the Merc. Should have better acceleration realistically as well. And here comes Major to the inside of Gus back. Makes it easy work. And Major is up ahead of Gus back for 7th then. Every point is crucial now at this stage of the championship. Major is making sure of that. Bluebeard is ahead of his teammate Nathan 11th, D-Dubs in 12th, Richard 13th, Absolute, and then Epsilon in 15th. Epsilon is right actually being blue flagged by H-Boss. Technically not by H-Boss anymore, it's actually by Sapper being blue flagged. The H-Boss is already on through. Here comes Chuck Norris to the inside of Danger Mouse. Now looks to the inside again. Danger Mouse has well and truly covered that off. Chuck Norris should have backed right back to the outside there. Made Danger Mouse take the short line, get the better exit out of Stavolo, but you've got to really, really go after that. Chuck Norris just made the move, made the wrong choice to go inside. It's hampered his chance to move all the way down toward the bus stop chicane here. Blanchimont would have been an opportunity as well. It would have required a lot of overspeed. Now Chuck Norris through the bus stop chicane. Him and Boris trying to get himself through into the top two with H-Boss staring down the barrel now. Here we go. Chuck Norris not going for it there. Oh, almost loads of the car on the exit of the sauce as well. He is just making life difficult for himself at the moment. Yuri is still a long, long, long way away. 3 months between race and stream. I see that. 1 week. Technically 8 days. Not my fault your short-term memory is abysmal. You know, Danger Mouse still ahead of Chuck Norris. Looked like Sapper, that actually looked like Epsilon getting lapped by someone else, and it is Obi-Wan next up then to go past. Epsilon's day has been tragic at best. I don't even know what the worst term you could describe a day with actually is. It's just been abysmal in every way, shape and form. You see all the yellow flags pop up now. All the blue flags rather. H-Boss is going to try and charge down Chuck Norris, who's still going after Danger Mouse. So like not that bad. It's not a lap down bad though. Danger Mouse getting a little bit of squirrely on the exit there. That'll give Chuck Norris a little bit of an opening to get himself back into the fight for second. 0.6 of a second on his first lap. Yuri still comfortably out in front. If I was Yuri, there would be no world where in this final 3 laps I make any sort of aggressive lunge into a corner or any turns at all. If make any sort of mistakes, everything is going to be the safest 3 laps you could probably ever provide. And Danger Mouse is not following the same script, because that was a bit all over the place out of the final corner. Here you go, a lot of sausage curb on the inside, which is where you do not want to be. And Chuck Norris is going to close that gap a little bit further. 26.3 to a 22.9, 22.3, sorry, to a 22.9. Actually, 0.6 to a favor in favor of Danger Mouse on the last lap. H-Boss did a 21.7 for reference, so he is slowly but surely fighting his way back as well. Chuck Norris needs to find a way past Danger Mouse here. Looks like he hasn't been able to do it into the back end of the Camel Straight. He is running out of time to do it, but he is going to do it. One thing's for certain, they're now hoping for Yuri to mess up again, for this to be any sort of chance for the lead of this race. We've got H-Boss still ahead of Sapper as well. Sapper is closing in. He is on soft, remember. H-Boss is on medium, so tyre advantage Sapper, as he looks to try and steal a couple of points of H-Boss here. Don't forget, Chuck Norris, Danger Mouse, both on the hard tyre. They are not that far in front now at all. If the mediums and the softs can get to them, by the time lap 18 rolls around and those tyres are still in some sort of shape, then we could see a completely different podium here. Chuck Norris going a little bit deep. Into Stavolo. Oh, he's out of Stavolo with a lot of AstroTurf and a wall to boot. Oh, and all that pressure he's been putting on Danger Mouse has backfired. because he just couldn't keep it himself. And Chuck Norris hits the AstroTurf, never came off the AstroTurf, and into the wall he goes, with Paige Boss and Sapper rolling on by. And Sapper has just taken a bottom step of the podium just like that. You're Danger Mouse, you are scared of the two behind you, I reckon. One ahead, Major ahead. Chuck Norris has got himself up and running, but he's got damage, and a Gus back, who's just launched himself off the track to actually get round a slow-moving car. Chuck Norris all the way down to 8th off the mistake. Bluebeard is currently in 9th. This is not good news for Chuck Norris, who's only gaining a couple of points on Bluebeard at the moment. Robbo filling out the top 10 with Dave after that. Rich in 12th, D-Dubs 13th, Absolute and Epsilon nowhere to be seen at the back of the grid. Danger Mouse is a long way off Yuri. This is just going to be the safest 2 laps in history. I said that about the sprint. He is in the same position at the sprint. This time, he is a little bit smarter than what he was in the sprint. Not even going anywhere near the inside of the final part of the Lacombe chicane. He is taking every corner as wide as he can, just to see if he can, just to keep him away from any potential dangerous curves or bumps or anything that could send his car flying. Because whilst he's got a large gap, I don't know if he's got a spin level gap at the moment. That was a little bit deep, almost put a car wheel on the AstroTurf. With 1.5 to go, it is command at the moment for Yuri. Substance over style, that's for certain. We continue on. Sapper trying to get after Danger Mouse. You can see them in the same shot for once. You got H-Boss after that. Just starting to falter away now. Those medium tyres have just dropped off. The hards probably in the best shape of the 3. But still, nonetheless, the hards are a lot slower than the softs. Roughly about 2 seconds slower by the times. That's anything to go by. That's the case. It's going to be very interesting to see if Sapper can catch and overtake in this final lap. Needed to build a bit tighter to the apex than that. But still, lap on the corner. He is starting to pull himself in. 21.2 compared to the 22.5. Another 1.3 seconds going off the board as we head into the final lap. Everyone has actually seen himself into the shot now as well. See him now in the background, working his way through. Still in 6th at the moment. Still in 5th, sorry, in the moment. After everything that happened. Oh, that didn't look good. What just happened? What has just happened? Someone somewhere had a mate in there. I'm not entirely sure who it is. Major's still there. Gus back is still there. Chuck Norris. Oh, it's Bluebeard! It's Bluebeard! Oh, he's gone round twice. Cannot keep the car in a straight line. Collect miles, not dust, is the one that's on his board. Might want to take his own advice. He's back down into 13th. Bearing in mind, 13th is only 3 points. And where we are with H-Boss, who is currently in 4th, is sat on an 18-point haul. He gained 6 in the sprint. He's about to gain another 15 in the feature. And that 42-point gap is gonna half. It is 21 points gained for H-Boss in this title fight. And all of a sudden, Kyoto is a lot more interesting now. We've gone from being potentially able to crown a champion to seeing a potential comeback spark into life in the space of 18 laps. H-Boss, don't forget, missed Catalunya. I believe it was Catalunya. He missed a round. That's what gave the 46-point gap in the first place. where Bluebeard just took full advantage of that missed round. H-Boss is taking a full advantage right now of absolute mess from Bluebeard this week. Yuri had a penalty, but again, as long as he drove safe, he would have been fine. You still can't even see second in the picture, and that's because the Alfa Romeo had his chance of redemption and will take it as long as he can get through the bus stop chicane unharmed. Round 1 he goes, round 2 he goes, he's got the traction, he's not gonna bottle it this time, and this time he is over the line to win the feature at Spa, with Danger Mouse coming in second, Sapper on the bottom step of the podium. H-Boss will take an extra 15-point haul over his rival. Obi-Wan will get 5th. Major is comfortably in 6th. Gus back, just about going to hang on from Chuck Norris in 7th, with Chuck Norris in 8th. Robbo in 9th, Nathan 10th. Rounding out the top 10, Rich in 11th, D-Dubs in 12th. Bluebeard there in the back of the shot after what has been an awful day for him, as D-Dubs comes into 12th. Bluebeard comes in at 13th. That gap is now halved in size. It is now 21 with 2 to go. Not even remotely close to insurmountable at this point, as it was looking like a couple of, just before this race, it potentially might have been. But the big headline of the day in particular is that after the absolute mess of the sprint, after the absolute bottle job in the sprint, Yuri bounces back immediately. Bounces back straight away to take a feature race win at Spa on what really should have been a double, but he'll take the one nonetheless. Great race from the Alfa Romeo. And that being said, I think H-Boss and Yuri will be Yuri will be half happy with what his day was. H-Boss may not have taken as many points as he would have liked, but still, 21 points down, up on the leader is nothing to scoff about. That's that would be a good day in the office by my books. So I reckon H-Boss might be the happiest person on track at the end of this. And we'll see what is going to unfold at Kyoto. And then again at the Nürburgring in the final 2 weeks, 21 points stand the gap. And that gap is definitely, well, it's definitely not over now. One good race for H-Boss is all it takes for a star-studded Nürburgring finish. But with that being said, I will see, well, I'm about to go and set up a email lobby. I will see you guys next time. If it's not before Sunday, then I will see you guys on Sunday for the eSports finale. If it is, then I'll see you guys earlier than that for Kyoto, but I'm making no promises. Peace.